construction of monuments in ancient Egypt. The construction of monuments in ancient Egypt stands as one of the most remarkable achievements in human history. These structures, ranging from the iconic pyramids of Giza to the awe-inspiring temples of Karnak, are not just architectural marvels but also repositories of cultural, religious, and political significance. This text explores the various facets of monument construction in ancient Egypt, delving into the techniques, labor, purposes, and symbolic meanings behind these grand edifices. The architectural evolution of Egyptian monuments. Early dynastic period, around 3100 to 2686 BCE. The roots of Egyptian monumental architecture can be traced back to the early dynastic period. The tombs from this era, known as mastabas, were rectangular structures made of mud brick or stone. These early tombs were relatively modest but laid the groundwork for future developments. The mastabas featured flat roofs and were often accompanied by subterranean burial chambers. Old Kingdom, around 2686 to 2181 BCE. The Old Kingdom is often referred to as the Age of the Pyramids. The most famous pyramids, including those at Giza, were constructed during this period. The Step Pyramid of Djoser, designed by the architect Imhotep, marked a significant leap in architectural innovation. This pyramid, built for the pharaoh Djoser, was the first large-scale cut-stone structure in history. The pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure at Giza are the pinnacle of Old Kingdom engineering. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, in particular, was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. These pyramids were originally encased in smooth Tura limestone, which has since been removed or eroded, revealing the rougher core structure underneath. Middle Kingdom, around 2055 to 1650 BCE. The Middle Kingdom saw a shift from pyramid construction to rock-cut tombs. These tombs were typically carved into the sides of cliffs in the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. The focus during this period was on elaborate interior decoration rather than massive external structures. The period also witnessed the construction of some of the earliest large-scale temples, such as the Temple of Mentuhotep II at Deir el-Bahari. These temples served not only as places of worship, but also as administrative centers and storerooms. New Kingdom, around 1550 to 1070 BCE, the New Kingdom was a period of unprecedented monumental construction. Pharaohs like Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, and Ramses II embarked on extensive building programs. The temples of Karnak and Luxor, as well as the rock-cut temples of Abu Simbel, stand as testaments to their ambition and resources. The New Kingdom also saw the development of the Pylon Temple, characterized by its massive gateways flanked by twin towers. These temples, such as the one at Edfu, were richly decorated with reliefs and inscriptions detailing the pharaoh's divine ancestry and their military victories. Techniques and materials. Stone quarrying and transportation. The primary materials used in Egyptian monument construction were limestone, sandstone, and granite. Limestone was typically quarried from the Tura and Mokattam hills near Cairo. Sandstone was sourced from Gebel el-Silsila, while granite was extracted from the quarries at Aswan. Quarrying was a labor-intensive process involving the use of copper and later bronze tools. Workers used chisels, hammers, and wedges to cut blocks from the quarry face. Once extracted, the blocks were transported to construction sites using sledges, rollers, and boats. The Nile River played a crucial role in the transportation of these heavy materials. Construction techniques. The construction of monumental structures required precise planning and engineering. The ancient Egyptians employed a range of techniques to ensure the stability and durability of their buildings. Foundation preparation. Before construction began, the ground was leveled and prepared. This often involved the removal of large amounts of soil and rock. Ramps and scaffolding. To lift heavy stones into place, workers built ramps made of mud brick and limestone chippings. These ramps could be straight, zigzag, or circular, depending on the structure's height and design. Wooden scaffolding was also used to support workers and materials during construction. Mortar and binding. Mortar made from gypsum or lime was used to bind the stones together. Although the fit between stones was often so precise that little mortar was needed, its use added stability. Alignment and measurement. The Egyptians used simple but effective tools for measurement and alignment, such as plumb bobs, leveling instruments, and sighting rods. They aligned their structures with astronomical precision, often orienting them to cardinal points or significant celestial events. Labor and workforce. Organization of labor. The construction of monumental structures required a large and well-organized workforce. Labor was typically divided into skilled and unskilled workers, with a hierarchy of supervisors and foremen overseeing the work. Skilled workers. These included stonemasons, sculptors, painters, and carpenters. They were responsible for the detailed work that required expertise and precision. Unskilled workers. Often conscripted from the peasant population, these laborers performed the heavy lifting and manual tasks. During the agricultural off-season, many farmers were drafted to work on state projects. Living conditions and welfare. The workers who built the pyramids and other monuments were not slaves, as is commonly believed. They were provided with food, shelter, and medical care. Excavations at workers' villages, such as the one at Giza, have revealed well-constructed houses, bakeries, breweries, and even hospitals. Rations included bread, beer, onions, and dried fish. The state ensured that workers were well-fed and healthy to maintain productivity. Injuries were treated by skilled physicians, and evidence of surgery and other medical treatments has been found at these sites. Religious and cultural significance. Pyramids as tombs. The primary purpose of pyramids was to serve as tombs for pharaohs and elite members of society. The pyramid shape symbolized the primordial mound from which the Egyptians believed the world was created. The sloping sides represented the rays of the sun, helping the deceased pharaoh ascend to the heavens and join the sun god Ra. The burial chamber was often located deep within the pyramid, accessible through a series of passageways and chambers. These chambers were filled with treasures, furniture, and other items the deceased would need in the afterlife. The walls were adorned with inscriptions and paintings depicting the deceased's journey to the afterlife and their interactions with various deities. Temples as houses of the gods. Temples were constructed as houses for the gods, where priests performed daily rituals and offerings to sustain the gods and ensure the continuity of the natural order. Each temple was dedicated to a specific deity and featured a sanctuary, where the god statue was kept, and various other chambers for storage and ritual purposes. The temples were richly decorated with reliefs and inscriptions depicting religious scenes, historical events, and the deeds of the pharaohs. The pylons, hypostyle halls, and sanctuaries were aligned to astronomical events, reinforcing the connection between the temple, the cosmos, and the divine. Obelisks and statues. Obelisks were tall, slender monuments made from a single piece of stone, typically granite. They were erected in pairs at the entrances of temples and symbolized the sun god Ra. The obelisk's pointed tip was believed to draw the sun's rays down to the earth, connecting the terrestrial and celestial realms. Statues of pharaohs, gods, and mythical creatures were also an integral part of Egyptian monumental architecture. These statues served both religious and political purposes, representing the divine nature of the pharaoh and the god's presence on earth. Colossal statues, such as those of Ramses II at Abu Simbel, were intended to awe and inspire the populace and convey the pharaoh's power and divine favor. Technological innovations and advances. Engineering marvels. The construction of monumental structures in ancient Egypt required remarkable engineering skills and innovations. The precision with which the pyramids were aligned with the cardinal points and the meticulous planning involved in the construction of massive temples like Karnak demonstrate the Egyptians' advanced knowledge of geometry and astronomy. One of the most impressive engineering feats was the construction of the Great Pyramid of Khufu. The pyramid's base covers an area of over 13 acres, and its sides are oriented almost perfectly to the cardinal points. The interior contains a complex system of passageways and chambers, including the King's Chamber, which is constructed from massive granite blocks weighing up to 80 tons each. Tools and techniques. The Egyptians developed a range of tools and techniques to aid in construction. Copper and later bronze tools, such as chisels, saws, and drills, were used to cut and shape stone. Workers also employed stone hammers and wooden mallets to break and smooth blocks. The use of ramps and levers allowed workers to move and position heavy stones with remarkable precision. Recent studies suggest that water may have been used to reduce friction on the sledges used to transport stones across the desert. The construction of temples and other structures often involve the use of complex scaffolding and support systems. Wooden beams and poles were used to create temporary structures that allowed workers to reach high and difficult-to-access areas. Symbolism and cultural impact. Symbolism of monumental architecture. Monumental architecture in ancient Egypt was imbued with deep symbolic meaning. The pyramids, with their geometric perfection and alignment with the stars, represented the pharaoh's divine connection to the gods and the cosmos. The temples, with their intricate reliefs and towering pylons, served as earthly representations of the divine order. Obelisks, with their soaring height and pointed tips, symbolized the sun's rays and the pharaoh's role as a mediator between the gods and the people. Statues of pharaohs and gods were not merely decorative. They were considered to be living embodiments of the divine, capable of interacting with the worshippers and influencing the world around them. Cultural legacy. The construction of monumental structures in ancient Egypt had a profound impact on the culture and society of the time. These buildings were not just places of worship or burial. They were centers of political power, economic activity, and social organization. The process of building these monuments required a vast workforce and a complex administrative system. The organization of labor, the procurement of materials, and the logistics of construction fostered advancements in technology, engineering, and management. The monuments themselves served as lasting symbols of the pharaoh's power and achievements. They reinforced the social hierarchy and the divine right of the pharaoh to rule. They also provided a sense of continuity and stability, linking the present with the past and the earthly realm with the divine. Notable monuments and their construction. The Pyramids of Giza. The Pyramids of Giza, including the Great Pyramid of Khufu, are perhaps the most famous and enduring symbols of ancient Egypt. Constructed during the 4th dynasty, these pyramids have fascinated historians, archaeologists, and tourists for millennia. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, the largest of the 3 pyramids, it originally stood at 146.6 meters, 481 feet, tall. The pyramid's construction involved the quarrying and transportation of approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons. The interior contains a series of chambers and passageways, including the King's Chamber, Queen's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery. The Pyramid of Khafre, slightly smaller than the Great Pyramid, the Pyramid of Khafre is distinguished by its well-preserved mortuary temple and the adjacent Great Sphinx. The pyramid's construction followed a similar process to that of Khufu's, with the use of massive limestone blocks and a precise alignment to the cardinal points. The Pyramid of Menkaure, the smallest of the 3 main pyramids at Giza, the Pyramid of Menkaure still stands as an impressive feat of engineering. Its construction included the use of both limestone and granite, with a complex of subsidiary pyramids and a mortuary temple. The Temples of Karnak and Luxor. The temples of Karnak and Luxor, located in modern-day Luxor, were major centers of worship and political power during the New Kingdom. Karnak Temple Complex, the largest religious building ever constructed, the Karnak Temple Complex covers more than 100 hectares. It was built over a period of more than 2,000 years, with contributions from many pharaohs. The complex includes the Great Hypostyle Hall, which contains 134 massive columns arranged in 16 rows. The hall's ceiling was originally made of stone slabs, supported by these columns, and was richly decorated with reliefs and inscriptions. Luxor Temple. Located on the east bank of the Nile, Luxor Temple was primarily dedicated to the god Ammonius. The temple's construction began during the reign of Amenhotep III and was completed by Tutankhamun and Horemheb. The temple is connected to Karnak by the Avenue of Sphinxes, a long road lined with statues of sphinxes. The temple's design includes a large open courtyard, a hypostyle hall, and a sanctuary. The Temples of Abu Simbel. The Temples of Abu Simbel, located in Nubia, were constructed during the reign of Ramses II. These rock-cut temples were built to commemorate Ramses' victory at the Battle of Kadesh and to demonstrate his power to the Nubian people. The Great Temple, the larger of the 2 temples, the Great Temple of Abu Simbel, is dedicated to Ramses II and the gods Ammonius, Ari-Horikti, and Ptah. The temple's facade features 4 colossal statues of Ramses II, each standing over 20 meters, 66 feet, tall. The interior contains a series of halls and chambers decorated with reliefs depicting Ramses' military victories and his divine status. The small temple. The smaller temple is dedicated to Ramses' wife, Queen Nefertari, and the goddess Hathor. The facade features 6 statues, 4 of Ramses and 2 of Nefertari, each standing about 10 meters, 33 feet, tall. The interior is decorated with scenes of the royal couple making offerings to the gods and participating in religious ceremonies. Conclusion. The construction of monuments in ancient Egypt was a complex and multifaceted endeavor that required advanced engineering, skilled labor, and a deep understanding of religious and cultural symbolism. These structures, from the pyramids of Giza to the temples of Karnak and Abu Simbel, continue to inspire awe and admiration for their architectural brilliance and the civilization that built them. The monuments were not just physical structures, they were embodiments of the Egyptian worldview, reflecting their beliefs about the cosmos, the divine, and the afterlife. They served as lasting symbols of the pharaoh's power and achievements, reinforcing the social and political order and providing a sense of continuity and stability. Today, the legacy of ancient Egyptian monumental architecture endures, reminding us of the ingenuity, creativity, and spiritual depth of one of the world's oldest and most influential civilizations.